culture conversations. And we are your host. I'm your host, Elizabeth Olujimi, and alongside me, my amazing co-host.
Elizabeth,
Kirubai, welcome.
we are losing you. I think the internet is playing up.
Okay. I can hear you though, so let's keep going.
Okay. So, everyone who's watching, apologies for this slight delay today. But
Kirubai, welcome.
Sorry?
No, go on.
So, slight delayed. That's totally my fault. I had some things happening in the background. So, yeah, we're happy to be here. And Elizabeth, I know you are out of London. I hope everything is all right with you. And the room looks lovely. Time to R&R and have some personal time away from family.
It's interesting because that's kind of what we're talking about today, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. That's right. To have some time, personal time away in relationships. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So today, Elizabeth and I are going to unpack this interesting subject because we've on Facebook we've had some comments saying, "Oh, this is a very interesting subject." So, personal space in relationship, is it a yay or a nay? So we're going to start with saying is I'm totally for personal relationship, personal time in my relationships. It's time to chill. It's time to reflect on your own, and it's time to do some things that you might not want to do. When I say relationships, it can be with your spouse, your partner. It can be with anyone. Sometimes you need to take some time out. So why is this time out in personal relationships important? So for me, no, this is my personal experience because it was a late marriage for myself and my husband. So, I mean, I have already kind of come to a certain maturity, and I mean, I've always been living alone. And and for my husband, he was also always on his own. So it's sometimes during holidays, we're constantly in each other's face. So sometimes we like to do our own thing. When you say personal time, yeah, he goes to work and I was in the house. But sometimes it's also nice to be taking time off from the things that are familiar to us. So one of the things that it really encouraged me to take some time out is my husband doesn't like to go walking. I like to go walking. But this later years of our marriage, we are trying to walk together. But initially in our marriage, I loved walking. So I used to take some half an hour, 45 minutes, just go away and do my own thing, stop at the cafe and have a cup of tea or a coffee and just chill and collect my thoughts. So Elizabeth, what do you think that would help enrich your personal time in a relationship?
Wow, that's a good one. I like the intro that you put there. Just really making it personal and talking about like your own relationship. I think for me, personal space, yes, it's definitely a great idea because we all need to have space to grow.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have space to work on ourselves. We need to have space to do some self-care. So it's necessary. I think it's to the measure in which you do it is where the conversation really comes into it. Because I know some people who get into relationships and it's all about we're attached at the hip kind of situation and they're never apart. And it's almost like, hang on a minute, don't you have a life? Because before you met this person, you had a life. And just because you are now in a relationship, it doesn't mean that your life, your life is over. Your life can still go on. So the things that you did in times past, you can actually still do. Just there is going to be probably a reduction to the amount of time that you used to spend in terms of your personal time, because now you've got someone else who's a priority to you. But personal space, yeah, it's necessary.
It's very necessary. I mean, it's very necessary for, for even when we had our arguments a little, we had our little foxes stealing our joy, a little argument, a little word throwing here and there. And initially in our marriage, I used to just walk away and say, all right. I always say this to Robert. I always say that, we got married late. What's the point of keep arguing? We don't want to waste time. We need to spend good time together. And I just used to walk away and reflect. Maybe it was my fault. If I didn't walk away and maybe go for that walk or reflect, most of the time it was something that I said without being sensitive, or something that I did without being sensitive. And I came back with an apology. I came back reflecting, hey, I misunderstood. We come from two different cultures. So he could have said something and I could say something. It's like a chicken and duck talk. We didn't mean the same thing. So it gave me space to think about and say, hey, it was me who made that mistake. So that personal space gave me a time for reflection.
That's powerful. That's powerful, because every relationship needs that. There are times where you just need to walk away and go and reflect on what you have said.
Yeah.
Or go and reflect on what just happened. And you know what? There's a dynamic that you mentioned there about the fact that you're both from different cultures. And sometimes we need to acknowledge that we're different people coming from different places. Like there's, it's rare to hear of relationships where they come from the same family, right? It's very rare. So we all come from different spaces, different environments, different backgrounds. So it's necessary that we, in the midst of a relationship, you don't lose yourself.
And I think the next point goes very nicely into it. It's in a lot of relationships, either one partner can lose their identity.
Wow.
And then you do not know who this person you are. You're just so consumed by each other that there is no individuality in that relationship, in that space. And that was my biggest fear in my relationship, whether I would lose myself as a person. So it was a very threatening, fearful place I was at that point, because I didn't want to lose my identity. It looks like I'm telling all my stories today, Elizabeth, but you know what? I think a lot of women out there, or even men, need to hear this. It's not that when you enjoy personal space that you don't love the other person. Because when you love the person, then you don't want to suffocate them with all your, just suffocate them, being into each other's faces. And a lot of people, statistically during COVID, because they worked together, they were spending a lot of time together, they were in each other's space. A lot of marriages and relationships fell apart. And I think that is a very scary thing. So Elizabeth, you've been very quiet today. What is your thoughts about it?
I'm reflecting.
It's not easy because statistically the numbers went up. What is that? During the lockdown period,
Mm,
a lot of
mm.
relationships suffered. If you can take that close proximity, then you can fight any battles together.
You know, you're right, because yes, there were a lot of relationships that sort of, because people were spending so much time together,
Mm.
it was like your faults were so, so out there.
Yeah, so amplified, yes.
Yeah, and whereas people had time off from their partners when they go out to work or whatever, now they were just confined in this space that there was no way out. And you had to just face each other. But even in that, I think personal space was still important.
Mhm.
As much as we were together, there was also that need for personal spaces. Hello, Pastor Isaac. Shalom and greetings to you in Jesus' name.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank
Long
you for
time.
joining the conversation.
Yes, long time.
Yeah, so,
Well, yeah.
so just going on from what you were saying, I think a relationship that has no room for personal space is dangerous. One of the things you mentioned was how having personal space allows you time to reflect.
Mm-hmm.
And we all need that time of reflection, time away from the busyness of a relationship, to reflect and think about how can we do better. But also time away, or personal space, allows us to self-examine. So yes, reflection, but also to look at yourself. One of the things, hi Tunji, thanks for joining the conversation as always. One of the things that me and Tunji have kind of been talking about is, like a personal retreat. So within the year, we take a personal retreat. So he goes by himself sometime in the year, and sometime in the year, I also go away by myself. And moments like that are really good, and they are necessary. And I think another reason for personal space is to allow your other relationships to flourish,
So
to
true.
give time to your other relationships. So as much as, yes, it's personal space away from your main relationship. So if you're married, for example, personal space could be hanging out with your guys, or she going and hanging out with her women, and it's not a bad thing. Because I think some see it as, oh, he doesn't want to spend time with me. He doesn't want to be with me every minute, every hour, every second. And that can sometimes, for a new couple, it can sometimes be a bit like, what's wrong?
Suffocating, very suffocating.
Yeah. So the space is necessary, but I think it's the measure of the space.
Well said. Yeah, the measure of the space.
Can I bring in this comment by Pastor Isaac?
Sure.
So my first marriage was over in 7 years, but this one is 10 years now, and it's getting better every year. We fight and finish it with being focused with each other.
Well said. Congratulations.
Absolutely. And relationships need, we Pastor Isaac mentioned about being focused, like with each other. And that's important, and being able to invest time, not just in each other, but also you going to invest time to develop you, and me going to invest time to develop me. And sometimes our development is going to be so different because we are in different spaces. And it's worth acknowledging that and just embracing it. I think for me, one benefit I have is that me and Tunji are in similar spaces to a point. So we can go to events together, we can do this together, but there's also times where I go for events myself. And there's also times where he goes for events himself, because that's also necessary. It's it's important because it helps the relationship to flourish. It helps the relationship to thrive. It helps you to nurture yourselves individually and then to come together and just make this amazing cake of a relationship.
All the different ingredients put together makes a wonderful fruit cake.
Absolutely.
Yeah, mixed cocktail. Yeah, I think young couples who go into marriage or go into a relationship, I think they need to factor in about personal space, because you can become eventually so codependent, clinging to one another, so clingy, and some women don't like it, some men don't like it, and eventually it kind of kills and suffocates the relationship before it starts. So one of the things is personal space allows you to reflect and also communicate what you would like in your relationship. So communication is rather important in telling your spouse, your partner, what you like, and tell it as it is. I would like some personal space. So I had a friend who gave birth to a baby, and she's a lot younger, and I and when you newly give birth to a baby, it's a lot of responsibility. So as moms and dads, you're hands on and all. So I kind of told the husband, I think today you just take care of the baby and let her go and get a nice spa done, and she was already in a breaking point. And you know what, she really because it's not easy, it's tiring, when it's a baby, and she really appreciated it. And of course it was during a Valentine's Day. It was a nice gift, and he took care of the baby. It was not easy, it was a challenge with the baby, but you know what, she had the whole day, she spent it pampering herself, and she came back invigorated and happy to resume the responsibility of a mother. So sometimes you got to read between the lines. Partners out there, husbands, wives, you got to read between the lines and understand what your spouses are going through. When it's not because they hate you, or it's not because they don't like what you're doing, but it's just that they need some time to just reflect and chill. Yes, Pastor Tunji, that's really good. If men are great with taking babies, I know you are great with Janaya, but not all men are very hands-on. But you know what? There's something that they can learn. So there's another comment from Pastor Isaac. We are focused with each other because we focus on the word, which is Jesus. It's not easy because we have three signs: man one, her one, and our one, and mother-in-law living with us. Yeah. So it's an extended family. It's such an blended extended family. My hat's off to you, Pastor Isaac. It's not easy. God give you more grace. God give you more grace. And you know what? Praise God that in blended families, sometimes there are a lot of challenges. Huh?
No, honestly, Pastor Isaac, wow, that's a real blend. Like, Coach Kiruba just said, that is a real blend. And it can be interesting sometimes being able to juggle and also have the personal space in the midst of such a blend. Mm-hmm. In the family. Kiruba, you had mentioned about the example that you gave, and it's interesting, like, because that's really the gift of personal space, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's getting someone a gift of personal space. And it's funny because when I think about it, that's what Tunji does for me at my birthday. Mm-hmm. He normally, gets a gift where I go, whether it's go get my nails done or go do your hair, it's me having personal space. That's the reality. It's me having personal space, and then we come out later in the day where we do something together, and then he also plans for something where it's just me and him, and it's like you've thought about all the different compartments. but the personal space is really good because it means that I can grow. It means that I can look after myself. Like we said earlier on, the opportunity to do some self-care, the opportunity for me to do things that I enjoy that maybe my husband might not enjoy. Because that's the reality. We might not like every single thing the same way. So being able to have the personal space and not being afraid to allow for that personal space, because sometimes, especially when, a spouse might be, I'm going to use the word controlling, because sometimes that's the case, or when a spouse is insecure, where there is no room for personal space, that insecurity can sometimes be one of the reasons, and sometimes it's the case of, I don't like your friendship groups, so I don't want you to go and have personal space with them, so I will keep you to myself. Or sometimes it might even be things that are linking back to the situations that people have gone through. And so you going away to have personal space might make them feel like they're being abandoned or being neglected. So it's also important to understand that me having personal space away from you does not mean that I don't love you anymore. It doesn't mean that I don't appreciate you. It's just personal space where I just have a little bit of me time. And I come back better. Like I have personal space so I can fill up my cup. And then I can be better for the relationship, because a relationship is about two people. And so it's those two people needing to be well in themselves. Because if one is not well in themselves, the relationship is not going to thrive. Let's be real. Let's be real with ourselves. If one of us is not well, or if one of us is pouring into the relationship more than the other, there's going to be a bit of a I want to say miscommunication, but even that's not the word, but there's going to be a bit of an issue. And so it's necessary that, yes, we have the time together, but we also have that little time apart where we work on ourselves. And it can be up to you to decide what you do with yourself, so to speak, in that time where you are having your personal space. It could even be that you're studying a course. It could be that you are working on a business. It could be that you're spending time with your family, spending time with your friends. One of the things that I love and that Tunji allows me to do is to just be away with my family sometimes. So there are moments where, like, I can go away for a couple of days or go for a weekend and go to Bristol and just be with my family for a bit. And that doesn't in any way have a negative impact on our relationship. It allows him space. It allows me space. And we can still thrive. And it's important to look at what's good for your relationship. And make sure that you're putting those things in to make sure that the relationship thrives.
I'm going to throw a curveball at you. What if the partners, either a male or a female, or partners in a relationship, that the insecurities, there's so much of insecurities that play up, that they want to cling on back to daddy duty. Yeah, because of the insecurities, they are, everything is played up, and there's so much of fear that's in the forward view of the whole relationship. How are you going to handle personal space when you have so much of insecurity, when you're suspicious of your partner, when you are jealous of your partner, when you are this is the things that it's real in the world? If you're jealous of your partners, you are insecure, jealous, and envious, and you don't want to let go. You always want to be in each other's face. So, Elizabeth, what is your solution to this?
Just remind me to come back to Pastor Isaac's comment, yeah? um, so I guess in terms of a solution, one of the things I would say is communication. Communication is so important. And, when we talk about communication, we're talking open communication, not just telling your spouse the things that you think that they need to hear, but just being open with them in every aspect. The Bible talks about like Adam and Eve being naked and not ashamed. And that's the model that we need to have in relationships, particularly I'm specifically talking about marital relationships, but I'm not just talking about physical nakedness. What I'm talking about is being open in your communication with each other. If there's something that you don't like, you spell it out, you say it out. If there's something that they do that maybe triggers you or makes you question something, you mention it, you have the conversation, because I don't know about men, but women I think we assume a lot, and so our minds can go whoosh because we are, you see one thing and before you know it, you exaggerate it so much. I'll give you an example, not one that I exaggerated, but one that when I was me and Tunji were still dating. I think we're still dating. I don't think we were married. Oh no, we were married. We're still in our first year of marriage. And he went for an event. For some reason, I couldn't make it to the event, I don't think, or maybe I was at another event. Anyway, so I came to his event later in the day. And there's a particular picture he had taken with somebody, with the young lady, right? And to be honest, there was nothing like wrong with the picture, but I just said, I don't like you posing for pictures like that with women who are not your wife. I literally say that to him, and they're good friends. But I was just like, yeah, you're going to post it on social media as well. I don't like it. And so he knew, because I could have kept it to myself and start questioning. And anytime I see him talking to this person, I could be like, what's going on here? But no, I told him on the onset. I was open. We were open in that conversation, and he had me out. And yeah, so I think openness, and especially where there's something that doesn't sit well with you. Don't just let suspicions and assumptions run wild in your mind, because our minds are incredible. Like it's imagination galore. You can imagine so much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about, I think the communication is going to be like the number one thing, being able to talk things through. And, even if it means that you talk about the fact that, let's say he's doing long hours at work and you don't like the fact that he's doing long hours at work, because it means that you're home alone in the evenings. I mean, we had a conversation similar to that. This was when I was still doing my...
She'll join us soon.
Apologies, that was my internet. So when I was still doing my 9 to 5, I would literally sometimes after work, I would come back home and then cook dinner, and I'm sitting there waiting for Tunji to come back home. And on some days, it was that he was also doing his 9 to 5, and then he was staying back to do some work on his side hustle, which is now his full-time business. But then it was like a side hustle to an extent. And the other thing that he was doing sometimes is going for events, because Tunji loved going for events because he's supporting his friends. And I had to tell him one day, I said, Tunji, you can't go for events, because that means every evening you're out. It can't work like that. But again, communication. I had the conversation. And thankfully, he saw where I was coming from with what I said. And yeah, he doesn't go to as many events anymore.
Oh no, no! Now you join him together. You go, guys, go right.
Exactly. We go together. We go together. No, that's so true. Um, Before I hand over to you, Kirubai, let's bring in this comment from Pastor Isaac.
Yeah, sure.
So Pastor Isaac says, I do take loads of personal space because of my mission trips, which I am so grateful to God. And then I come and spend quality time with family time because of our culture. We have not got a time just for us together. Our son is 3 years old now. Oh, 3 years old. Oh my days. So but you know what? The personal space, like you said, is when you're away on the mission trips.
Mm.
And I think what I would then ask is, does your wife get to have personal space? That might be one to think about. And if she doesn't, maybe you can start engineering some personal space for her when you are back from your mission trips.
Well, you
I'm
can
just throwing that in there.
take the three children fully on with the mother-in-law. Oh, I mean, I don't know. It happens culturally. It could be a little bit of a challenge. But you know what? These days, the younger generation, the millennials, and also the maybe the baby boomers might have a little issue with all this. Oh no, oh, this is the wifely duty. But you know, the younger generation, they are very open to being hands-on dads and to help ease the wife, because some of the wives are also bringing the bread home. You know, they are they're breadwinners, so they are, you know, working full time, and also, you know, working at home and with work, keeping the house in order. So it's a lot going on, and I really this season I really appreciate mothers who are having full-time jobs. Elizabeth, your mom had a full-time job. My mom had a full-time job, and they didn't have help, but they ran a family, ran a home, and that's something that we can reckon with.
Mm.
And I think my mother's personal space was when she spent time praying and reading the word, a connection to God.
Mm.
Mm. So many different types of personal space people would want to indulge in. Yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if you're watching this and you're in a relationship and thinking, well, how can I carve out time for personal space? I think it's important, first of all, to, yes, schedule some time, but think about what you're going to do in that time.
Mhm.
And whether that's time for you to journal, for you to read, for you to go and do some self-care related activities, or even just go and spend time with friends, or go to the cinema, go for coffee, take yourself out, literally, like, take yourself to grab a drink. There's no harm in doing that, because sometimes we avoid spaces where we are with ourselves,
Mhm.
because it means we have to, like, think, we have to reflect, we have to like, look around us and see what needs to
Yeah,
change.
process the thoughts. Huh?
And sometimes it can be uncomfortable,
Very
but it's a good uncomfortable.
yes, stirs
It's
up.
a good uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I think personal space also helps you to become more confident in yourself.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you know, confidence. You know, you build confidence in many areas of your life, and you know, you don't have to hide behind someone all the time.
Mm,
Hmm? And and it's important that you explore your own identity, because in a lots of marriages they lose. I keep saying this. I see it happening all the time, that each they lose identity, they lose their sense of purpose because they're so consumed. And you know what? Each one of us, we have an identity in Christ, and we have a purpose. You know, individually, we have a purpose, and collectively, as husband and wife and family, we also have a purpose and destiny. And don't miss out on the purpose and destiny each of you carry and each of us carry. We cannot do that. We cannot compromise on that. So think how all these things are going to come into a medley, like one of the coaches say, um, a mixed fruit, you know, a salad, a fruit salad with all the ingredients that you put together and bringing
Mm.
forth something good. It's so important. And it has to start from you, because once you realize, then you would want to take action. You would want to take action. And if there is no action, then there's no point.
So if you want your relationship to thrive,
Yeah.
make time for personal space.
Mm.
Is really what we're saying, because it's going to allow you to be better. It's going to allow you to invest in yourself. And you know, two better invested individuals coming together is better than two struggling individuals.
Mm.
So being able to take time for yourself helps you to have a better view, helps you to have a better perception, helps you to have better judgment, helps you to rest, helps you to relax, rest, relaxation, reflection. All those things are really good for you. And that personal time allows you to be able to do that. So if you are in a relationship, we encourage you to make time for personal time, and make it personal time that's productive. Let it be a personal time that's productive, and you know, you see how you can grow yourself. So be intentional, actually. Be very intentional, because all our relationships require intentionality. So be very intentional with that personal space, because you both need it.
It's like Robert, when he has it too much, he said, "Okay, I'm going to go walkie. Just leave me alone." He'll just go. And then 2 or 3 hours time, he'll come back and say, "Okay, I'm all right. I just went for a cup of tea." And he loves his tea and his cake. So he goes and has his cup of tea and just sits and relax. And even if the secret, I couldn't understand this when we initially got married. He said, "Oh, we did holidays," but he'll say, "Sometimes you do your own thing, and I'll just do my own thing." So I was wondering, what's do your own thing and I'm doing your own thing? Because for Robert, when you have a holiday, it's sitting by the pool and chilling, and I could not do that. So it was my personal space. I used to do my own thing, and then we'd come back and meet for a meal or something. But it was good time for me because I connected with the nature, I connected with people, I connected with the book reading, and whatever I wanted to do, or go and went into the spa or whatever. But you know what? I could now understand why that was so important for him, because he worked very hard. So he didn't want me to hang around him and waste my time and just, because, yeah, how much can you be dipping in a pool? Come on. So I'm a firm advocate of having personal space. Firm advocate.
You know, Kiruba, you asked me the question earlier on, and maybe let me throw it back to you, just around someone who's finding it really difficult to have the personal space.
So I didn't get the last part, Elizabeth.
So
Sorry.
what would you say to somebody who is
Struggling.
struggling to just have or make time for personal space?
I think my one sense of encouragement would be, we have 24 hours, we have 24 hours in a day, and sometimes prioritizing time, we can never say we don't have time.
Mm,
With the busyness of life and with husband and children, you can make some time, just half an hour, 1 hour, probably early in the morning. You get up early and just chill, have a cup of coffee and chill, look out of the window and watch the sunrise. You can, but it's, as you said, Elizabeth, it is having to be intentional.
mm,
So, in the pockets of time that you have, maybe you're having a full time job, you're out, you have a lunch break that's 1 hour, you go sit outside and watch and listen to the birds. And even looking and listening to the birds can cheer you up.
mm,
So, small, little things that would add some joy and happiness. It will change the whole landscape of the way you feel when you go back to home, go back to your office. It's just invigorating,
mm,
because when you go back home, there are chores to run, and you've got so many things to do. But lunchtime is, don't work. Oh, please don't work during lunchtime. That is your personal time. You don't need to die for your organization. Sorry. I know a lot of women and men, are they're working like, certain jobs you just eat on the desk. They don't have time to go out and have a meal. But if
mm.
that's a luxury for you, embrace that luxury. Embrace that luxury. Go out of the office, because if you sit in the office at your desk, your boss might call you. Oh dear.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that. It's something that we all need to be intentional in
Mm,
making time.
mm.
And just what you said about even the lunch break, just being intentional with that. And not working through it, but actually being able to just take time out. It's good for our well-being.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's been a really interesting conversation. Because when it comes to relationships, sometimes people think we have to always be together,
Mm.
but actually the time apart allows us to grow, allows us to nourish ourselves, and to come back fresh
Come back.
or to come back better.
Come back powered up and better and bolder and confident in facing the situation and circumstances in our lives, because you know what, you're invigorated, you're motivated to make this
Mm,
work. Yeah. And I think, with relationships, it's a work in progress. It's a
it
growing reality. So nobody has got the blueprint. For each and every couple, there is a different blueprint. Nothing is written on stone. But you know what? The only willingness is, you want to try and you want to achieve that beautiful relationship that is, that's put forth for you.
mm.
Yeah.
Right, awesome. So before we bring this to an end, there is an event coming up which myself and Kirubai are going to be part of. So this is going to be on the 15th and the 16th of March.
Mhm.
So it's a good one to register the women to come along to, so they can have personal space. But the men are welcome to join us on the 15th. It's going to be the 15th, I think, the evening, and then 16th, it's the whole day. I'm going to try and play the video, and I hope that the internet works with me on this one. So let me play the video just to give you a bit more insight into it.
Transformational change comes from the renewal of your mind and your heart. Willpower and strength alone are not enough. You need God power. So join us. Listen and learn from senior women leading well in the workplace and step into transformational change for your own life and leadership.
Okay. I'm not going to play the video because the internet is really slow, and so it's taking forever to download. So we might just be staring at the blue screen for a while. But it is the Wise Well Woman Summit, and it's going to be taking place on the 15th to the 16th of March. If you follow myself or Kirubai, you will find information about it on our social media pages. Or if you are on Instagram, follow. Let me just get the handle on Instagram just so I can point you in the right direction. It should be, let me just get it. So women_leadership_life_leadership. So if you follow women_life_leadership, you will get some information there about the event, and all the details will be shared there. And there is also a link for you to register and join the event. It's going to be amazing. There's going to be keynote speakers. On the Friday, we're actually having some amazing praise and worship as well, which I'm really looking forward to. And on the Saturday, we're going to have some workshops as well, which we will be running a Confidence Culture Conversations workshop. So I'm looking forward to that. Kirubai, do you have anything to say regarding the event?
No, I'm looking forward to the event, and actually, I'm going to spy the land on Sunday. I'm going to check out the premises. I'm going to check out where our workshop is going to be held. I'm excited. I'm already on the move, putting things in plan, and then Elizabeth and I are going to come up with this amazing workshop on fruit.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Yes. So see you next week, guys. All those who have joined us today, and reflect. And I hope this conversation has helped you understand that why personal space is important, and give that personal space as a gift to someone you love.
I like that. If you do watch this on the replay, please #replay, put a comment, and we will endeavor to just respond to you, say hello back to you. But thank you to Pastor Isaac. Thank you to Tunji. Thank you to everyone else who joined us today. Like, share, subscribe, and we will be back next week, Tuesday. So enjoy the rest of your day or the rest of your evening, and God bless you.
Bless you. Bye-bye.